So, everyone has your manual. Let's get rolling, and we may go pretty fast. Don't worry about absorbing every word of this at this point. We do have videos that Eric's going to be recording for you. And also, we want to be following up on these skills after these 2 days. There's a lot of implementation and practicing that will come after these 2 days, right, Eric? I mean, this is not
Absolutely.
done in 2 days.
Yeah, the biggest thing that Paul and I say to all our offices, and it's actually a question, is knowledge power, right? Knowledge is power. You've heard that saying before, right? You guys heard that knowledge is power. And really acknowledging that that's not necessarily true. And so when you think about that saying, how do you make knowledge powerful? It's when you actually do something with it. And so knowledge becomes power with action. So everything that we're talking about, we're going to talk about how do you make that happen in your practice. Otherwise, it's just information that comes and goes and you forget. And it ends up being a manual that's dusty on the shelf. And so we want to empower you. We want to give you the information, but we also want to challenge you to do something different, right?
That's exactly right. So you will be getting CE credit. This is a PACE approved course. And so at the end of our second day, April 2nd, I will send out CE certificates for you, okay? You'll have 12 hours and it's broken down into practice management and clinical. So that's awesome news. I have a client in Colorado who owns an occlusion course called IPSO, International Partnership for the Study of Occlusion, Dr. Ted Johnson. And so they have been gracious to certify our courses for us. So we're very, very thankful for that. So yay! Everybody give a hand to Dr. Johnson for CE credits. Yay!
Yay.
And in your manual, so let's pull up your manual. I'll share the screen here so you guys can see where we are. Um, Everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so here's your table of contents. You'll notice at the very end there's an action plan like page 120. So that is something that we will work on together. You will work on together as a team when the meeting is over and you want to start prioritizing the things that you want to do. What's our number one action item? What's our number two, number three? And there's like 20 there, I think. So if you wanna scroll back there and just look real quick, turn back to page 120. And you can see what I'm talking about. It looks like this. Excuse me. This is how to write a SMART goal. You've got your action plan, what the goal is, your time frame, who's going to help you, and what the priority is. So you may want to use separate paper to take your notes to start with, and then come back and use this to kind of organize your action items. Does that make sense? Everybody with me?
This
Yes.
is what you're going to do differently, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. These are the new things. Now there's up to 20 on here, but you may have more. You may have more. Most teams do have more, but I just put at least 20. And then you'll also notice while we're back here, let me show you something else. There's some blank pages if you want to use them for the notes for your action items, or you can write in the manual itself or take notes on your phone, however you want to do it. That's fine with us. At the very end of this, and it all says page 125 because it's an addendum, and this is a form. We're basically going to be teaching this form in pieces and parts. And this is kind of all of it put together in a sense, okay? So we'll be referring to this form off and on, especially later in the day and next time. So, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about this is page 3. I'm jumping around. I know one of my pastors at the church I used to go to, he would jump around all the time in the Bible, and we were just like flipping pages. So I tend to do that sometimes. But there's 5 categories that we're going to be talking about. Live on purpose, which is our vision and purpose, self-esteem, things like that. We'll get into with transform your fears. Sometimes we're afraid of our patients. Sometimes we're approval addicted. Sometimes we're We don't want them to say no and we give in too easy and things like that. We do that in life as well. I was one of those people. And then we want to talk about our team. How are we going to impact our team? How can I be a better team member? How can I maintain team harmony? Then we're going to talk about how we impact our patients and then transforming your practice. So we're going to get into case presentation at this point. Eric's going to be teaching a lot of this. I'll probably kick us off with most of this part. Eric will be leading a lot of the section 4 and section 5.
Which
we lead
because
together, but yeah.
which really is because this is 2 days, right, Paula? This is day 1.
Yeah, we're not
We're
getting
actually-
through all this today.
We're talking about this for April, yeah. And just quick logistically, do you guys have our pictures across the top, or are we in the way on the side of what you're looking at right now?
Right now, you're on the side. On the
Okay,
right.
so and who's sitting right here running the command center?
That would be me, Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer. Okay, so if you hover your mouse up and you say View Options at the top,
Hang on.
click View Options, and then hit Exit Full, and then you hit Exit Full Screen. It'll put us in a banner across the top. That way you can see the manual clearly.
Okay, got it.
Hey, that's a great idea. Thanks, Eric. All right. Okay. So let's roll right into page 4, which is the Bridge of Purpose. Living on Purpose. Let's see if I can get all this to show on the page. So I call this the Bridge of Purpose, and this was a mastermind with the dentist that I work with. I still stay in touch with him. He had such a great impact on my life. And we walked through this as a template. Now, this is a template for decision making. This is a template for systems. This is a template for your life. So this has multi-function, multi-use in your life and in your practice. So what am I talking about? So the purpose, the word purpose, has anybody done work on your purpose in your life? Like, why am I here? Anybody? Did I hear a yes?
Yana has.
Yana has? Awesome. Yana, did you go through a program or read a book or just get alone with yourself and God or what? With yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very good. It took a lot of therapy to get me here. I still probably need some. But the purpose is your why. So if you want to write in the box, why? Why am I here? And so, like I said, we're putting on our business hat. You know, I've got some hats over here, which may show up later. But, you know, you could put on your business hat and your personal hat. Why am I here on this planet? And then why is this practice here? What is the purpose of this dental practice? So I'll leave you to figuring out your personal purpose on your own. Our overall general purpose, and I think you guys don't mind if I use spiritual things, right? Are y'all okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So our overarching purpose on this planet is to glorify God and to win others to Christ. How we fulfill that is unique to us individually, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I believe my purpose is helping people where they're stuck. And part of the reason that's my purpose is because I was stuck for a long time. So I can identify with that. The purpose of the practice is a long list. Now, we won't complete the whole list, but who can yell out, like, why do you have a dental practice in Chelsea, Alabama?
Ashley said to help our patients.
Help patients. That's perfect. Jot that down. Write that on the list. What else? Why else do we have a dental practice?
Think why. Think from a standpoint of why would someone seek you out?
Oral health?
Oral health. Yes. We want to help people restore their dental health. We do restorations all the time, do we not? That's a powerful word. Powerful word. So, what's another reason why you have a dental practice?
Would
Can't think-
educating our patients be part of health or restoring dental health or educating our patients on their health?
Educating patients is absolutely a good one for sure. Educating patients is a perfect why. We also want to help patients discover their goals for their dental health, right? Because how do you motivate somebody? You can't motivate anyone. You have to find out what motivates them. This is why a lot of your patients don't follow through on treatment, because we don't know what motivates them. We're giving them logic. You know, if you don't take care of this, you're going to end up in a root canal, and that's going to cost more money. So we're pumping logic, but we don't really know our patients' why, do we?
No, you have to find.
Every patient in your practice has a why, and it's a different why. I mean, there's some commonalities, but every patient's going to have a little bit different why. So you also are there, you have a practice to build trust and community. You have a practice there to be profitable. I mean, if you're not profitable, you can't serve the community, right? Although that's not our number one goal, that is a goal. Part of our purpose is to be good stewards of the gifts God has given us. Y'all know what stewardship is?
Yes.
Yeah. Usually at church, they just talk about that when they want your money. But stewardship has another meaning. It means that you're taking care of something. You're taking care of the gifts and talents God has given you. That's part of your purpose. So what's your vision? The vision is, where are we going? Is Dr. Davis there?
Yes, he just got here.
All right, I thought I heard that laugh. So, Dr. Davis, in a sentence or two, can you give us an idea of what your vision is for your practice? Do you have it in writing?
Well, we had a vision. I would say probably posted up in the waiting room before we remodeled, and it was basically providing real ultimate care in a caring and professional atmosphere that people feel like they belong here, I guess. And that was kind of we had it above. I don't even know where it's at. You know?
I do. I think I know where it is.
But that was basically a simple term. I mean, I think that would be a very easy vision. I think in my situation now, I think as our community grows, we want to be a standout in the community. And when people talk about a dentist, they know that they're getting quality care here, and they're getting taken care of in a quality atmosphere with a very good customer service. And I think all the girls, I preach customer service. We got a great team here, and they all know that we want to go over and beyond. I mean, some days we have these patients that are, you all know they're challenging, but we try to, serve our patient the best we can as far as customer service.
All right, very good. I hope somebody was taking note. Dr. Davis, that would be awesome to get in writing. And make sure your team, make sure you know where that is. So an action item, y'all write this down. Action item, we got 2 already. One is discover your purpose individually and as a practice, and maybe write that down and post those purpose, that list we kind of went through a few minutes ago. And also revisit your vision and get it in writing, and make sure we all know what it is and where it is, and refer to it frequently in your meetings. We'll talk about that as part of your meetings too.
And
all right.
Real quick, I think too, Dr. Davis, with where the practice is going, right? When you think about what we've been working on kind of in the background, whether it's from a business standpoint, when you think about patients choosing you, when they choose your practice, why are they choosing you? So you think about that why, right? That purpose kind of relates, it overflows that vision. And so when you think about that, there has to be a relationship to have trust, right? In order for there to be a relationship, you have to have trust in there, and there has to be a commitment involved. And so why are they choosing to commit to a relationship with you? What makes you stand out? Is it just because you're in their insurance list, or is there something you guys do that sets you apart from everybody else? That's what you're looking for in that purpose and that vision.
Girls up front, we have a lot of patients that go somewhere else, and they'll go for 4 or 5 years, and then they don't want to tell me because they've been cheating on me. But they'll go, oh, I got this tooth done and this tooth done, and they come back here, and I say that because we do provide quality care, and I am nice to people, and unfortunately, general dentistry requires a lot of personality. You got to build that relationship where specialists can just say, I put an IV in and knock you out, take your thirds out, and I never see you again. But I think that's something we have to do as we move forward. And we haven't even talked to you about but we're going to slowly start dropping these bad insurances, and we have to provide. full-
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, if we're gonna keep those patients, like Eric said, they're gonna go up the street, we gotta do the ultimate job of making them have a great experience. Otherwise, they're
They
gonna go
don't
up
want
the
to go
street.
somewhere else,
Yeah.
yeah.
You do. I mean, you have to stand out. It has to be different. It can't be, coffee from the convenience store compared to coffee at Starbucks. You gotta really stand out. There's gotta be a difference. You can't just look like every other office and act like every other office. And that takes it takes a lot of work, right, Eric?
And I'm gonna jump in here and just say, I tell these girls, and I know I've got Aubrey who's new, and I got Ashton who's new, and all these other girls. My job is to educate their knowledge. Where somebody asked a question here, and I have these little briefings in the morning. I know they probably get tired of hearing it, but why do we do this? Why does somebody call in here? If I can make your knowledge level better, and I call the front desk and people can answer a question versus like calling down the street. And we did this, by the way, with I think Roger Levin. We would call other offices like today live, and everybody shut up, and they're like, I need what kind of bleach? Let me get the doctor. And that's what we don't want here. We've got to separate ourselves, and by doing knowledge and training like we're doing today, that's how we stand out. It's not just service. We got to have knowledge to back it up.
Yes, you do. Absolutely, you gotta have the knowledge. It's a combination. So
That's foundational. That's foundational to a good relationship connection. So the analogy that I use, and Paul and I both agree spiritually. So this is not true, but let's pretend it is. Abby, I married Abby for her money, and so no, not really. But let's say I did. Once the money's gone, there's no relationship, right? Because I chose it to be a financial commitment.
yeah.
And so when that thing that I chose to do is gone, and it could be all sorts of reasons. I'm just using that as one example. So if I'm a patient, I choose you because of the money, and that relationship with the money changes. In other words, insurance. When that relationship with the money changes, I need to decide, do I really want to be married to you? And so you have to have such a good connection with your patients. And Paul is going to get into that later this today. You have to have such a good connection with your patients that they want to stay with you no matter what, but to a certain
Right.
extent, what the financial situation is like.
Yeah. That's great. That's perfect.
What was that?
I don't know. So another way you can write your vision is to put it in pictures. Now this may not be a great picture, but here's a picture of what one team did. You can do your vision personally as a poster, or you can do a practice vision as a poster. So has anyone done a vision board before?
With your kids, it's amazing.
It's great to do with your kids. Maybe you've got kids that won't talk to you very well. Sometimes when they're teenagers, they don't talk. They don't open up as much, but you get them to do a vision board. You can find out what they're thinking. I've done this with couples retreats that I've led. So it can be a powerful tool to get your vision in pictures. Get it in writing, but get it in pictures. So let's go to current reality. Current reality, if we have to put one word, purpose is why, vision is where. Current reality is now. What's happening now? And I see a lot of dental teams focusing on the current reality. And we kind of are stuck in just focusing on problems and what we don't like. And we're not looking at the big picture. We've totally lost, or we never even spent time looking at our why and where we're going. And we're only focused right here. And we see a lot of things we don't like. So that's why we need a bridge, because our vision is over here and our current reality is over here. And we need something to help us bridge that gap. And bridging the gap is where our strategies come in. So the one word for strategies is how. How are we going to get there? How are we going to bridge the gap from vision to current reality? We're going to use strategies. Okay, because our current reality may not be where our vision is. We may be far away from it, or we may be closer than we think. So we need a lot of good strategies to help us get there. Now, here's the challenge. If we only focus on strategies, like this is what I get all the time. I'm having a problem with cancellation, so we need some cancellation skills. We need to get those girls up front to handle those calls better. And so we focused on the now, and we want a strategy. Well, there's lots of strategies. There could be lots of reasons why your patients are canceling. We have to go back to purpose and vision to find out, are we on track? Have we gotten off track somewhere? Is our hygiene department, are they clear on the why for our practice? The why for a hygiene department? Are they really helping patients value their appointment? Does every patient have a reason to return? Do the patients, have they shared their why with us, their goal with us? Are we clear on our vision? Are we on the same page? Because if we can handle phone skills, but I want to know why that patient called in to begin with. Why do they not value this appointment? And that happens in the clinical area, right?
The connection.
Cancellations begin and end in the clinical area. The phone skills are important, but those cancellations begin and end in the clinical area. So that's one example of staying focused on current reality and strategies instead of looking at the big picture. Y'all with me?
So
Yes.
the simple way for you to think about this on the personal side, think about somebody you see living in the streets, okay? And you look at, and you're driving by, so all you see is what? The current, reality, right?
Yeah, don't know.
And you want to go fix that. You want to go give them strategies. You want to give them money. You want to give them food, right? That's a strategy. But don't you really think about like how it's deeper than that, right? It goes
Much
further
deeper.
back. It goes further back. And where they lost that track could have been back in purpose. And so I use that example because I think people can really resonate with this. Now you can translate that down to kids in your home, right? Do they have a purpose? Do they know where they're going? What's their current reality? What are their strategies? So you can use this obviously personally, and then it'll help you use it professionally.
Absolutely. And you're so right about that with the homeless. I've done some work with them, and there's a big story behind why they're there. It's not always what it seems, and just giving them money is not always the answer. Okay, very good. So in our manual, we have a couple of sample visions. You're all seeing this. This is Dr. Andy Allgood, whom Eric and I have worked with. He's got a great vision that he's kind of done with each department. He's done a vision for each department. I just love that. And he talks about the Ritz-Carlton quality here, number 10. We've done a lot of calls with his team on that 5-star service and things like that. And you've also got a vision sample here on page 7 from Dr. Barry Watson. Dr. Allgood's in Georgia, Dr. Watson's in North Carolina. And he wrote his vision from the perspective of a patient and what he wants that patient to say about the practice. I thought that was pretty cool. All right, now let's talk about team meetings. So this is part of our foundation here. So let's go to page 8. And you have weekly meetings on Tuesdays, right?
Monthly.
Monthly meetings.
Originally, pre-COVID, we would have kind of a meeting a longer meeting in the morning, and we'd try to do a follow-up meeting at a lunchtime 2 weeks later. And Jennifer was good about, we would write an action list. Let's say we need the computer done, or we need to do, it wasn't necessarily scripting. But then obviously we got inconsistent because your lunch gets, you work into lunch and that gets done. And so probably, where's this yet? What, 2-3 years since we had we do a follow-up, we do a 2-hour meeting and then a follow-up 2 weeks later to make sure that stuff was done.
Okay, so you have monthly meeting and then a 2-week follow-up. Okay. And then, now that's with the whole team?
Yes, and yes.
Because I know I've been on the whole team call. Like,
Yeah, we haven't really had a separate meeting without Paula, have we, now for the last, we had one maybe?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
I think
We
we've only
have
had,
one next week,
Yeah.
right?
the majority of the ones we've had pre-blocked, I guess post-COVID, were through you or Eric. We didn't really have any that were just us, I guess.
Oh, okay. Well, so here's the recommendation. here's the recommendation. Now, you can take this and do with it what you'd like, but the recommendation is you have at least 1 hour of meeting time a week. So you have 4 meetings a month. Now, some of that can be everyone together. Obviously, everyone needs to be together, at least one of those. You can have, 1 week you could have meetings where everybody's meeting in departments. You're not necessarily meeting together, but you're meeting in departments. There's lots of ways to do it.
We have breakouts when hygiene would meet and we talk about things. I don't even remember last hygiene meeting. It's been months. But we'd have hygiene meeting and then we'd have maybe a front desk meeting. And then have
Yeah.
And we used to go out, pre-COVID to lunch. We'd take everybody out kind of like
Yeah, right.
and have a little kind of a brainstorming. But I got you.
Okay. So then once a quarter, you may have to have a longer meeting like what we're doing today. Because there's a 90-day effect. There's a good learning curve in the first 90 days, and then we start something new, and then 90 days later, we have a dip in enthusiasm. So you have to plan ahead for that. Quarterly meetings are just like that. So let's talk about what we do in a meeting. So here's a sample template of ideas for a team meeting agenda. Let's go through it, okay? Do y'all use an agenda when you meet?
Yeah, well, I mean, usually.
Yeah, we usually have something. Yeah. I mean, I've got some. I try to do them on an iPad, print some out. Yes, it's typical we do.
Okay, great. So you'll want to have a mother or a father or parent, nanny of meetings, and this person is in charge of making sure they're scheduled. Like I think the beginning of this year, a couple of your blocks fell off, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to make sure you have somebody designated to make sure the meetings are scheduled. You also have a meeting leader, and it can be a different person every time or several people leading. You've got someone taking notes. Your action tracker is your note taker or like a secretary of your team meeting. And you're keeping those team notes in a manual or a Word document or whatever. Then you've got someone keeping time. If we get, sometimes we get off track. We talk too much, we change subjects, and this person has permission to sound the gavel and say, hey, are we going to finish this topic? We have 15 more minutes. Are we going to move on? And so those are good structure.
Or they could just go, oh. Move on. I want to.
Yeah.
I love what Paula is saying here, guys. Know this: when you're the lead, everybody's got to be leading a few things in the practice. You're all leaders, right? And so you lead. When you say lead, it's responsible to, not responsible for. I'm responsible to making sure my kids make their beds. I'm not responsible for making their beds. That's a simple
perfect.
example. When you're the leader, you're saying, "How's it going here? What are we doing there? How are we tackling this? What's going on here? Let me report this." Right? You're getting feedback to report. And that's really, really important for you guys to make sure you understand.
Years ago, we approached about each person would have to lead one meeting.
Get to do.
Yeah.
It'd be awkward because it's like, I'm scared, I don't know what to do. So I said, listen, let the hygiene get together. They lead one meeting with an agenda, let the front desk. And I gave them the opportunity to let's make yours maybe be 40% of the meeting since it's your department. Not the whole meeting's about the front desk or the hygiene, but it was very, maybe scared. I guess everybody felt like they were, I don't know.
It can be scary. If you have S personalities, that's not their favorite thing to do. Right?
Yes.
So there's several ways we can help you lead meetings, but our team did that too. We had assignments and we all had to lead, and I learned a lot. That was part of my training for what I do now. I'm so thankful to my doc. This is personal growth, by the way. I'm so thankful to my doctor for having me do that because I learned a lot. I grew as a person. So that's part of your responsibility, Dr. Davis. You rock. Okay, step 2. We're going to begin the meeting by looking at our purpose, our guiding principles, our vision, our mission. Now, vision and mission statement are two different things. Mission statement is short and to the point. Like on the side of a police car, it says to protect and serve. So a lot of dental offices have changing lives, 1 smile at a time, or something like that. That's different than your vision. So you want to, I've got one team and they read it. They put it up on the screen They have a big screen like you do. They put it up on their screen and they read it at every meeting. Well, it's kind of boring and monotonous now. You got to mix it up. You got to add in some videos and some inspirational stories. The vision doesn't always have to be read, but you can illustrate how you accomplish the vision by a patient story or something like that. Y'all with me?
Yes.
Okay. Goal action plan. Like you said, Dr. Davis, you had one meeting and then 2 weeks later you followed up. That's awesome. Because part of the reason nothing gets done or things don't happen the way we want them to is because we're not following up. And so what you want to do right here on number 3, I bet several of you have been on a committee somewhere, and you start your meeting by reading the minutes of the previous meeting, right? So that you can remember what your action items were, what you said you were going to do. And that's your old business. And all of the mothers or parents of a goal are giving a progress report. So does this make sense what I'm saying? Let's think of an example. Okay, so we said we wanted to increase our new patient numbers. Well, let's say Stacy's the mother of new patients. Then when you have your meeting, Stacy's going to give a report. Hey, Stacy, give us the new patient report. What's happening? You with me?
Got a lot of them.
So you might go into, we had 40 new patients. We actually had 35 new patient research forms from our phone call. That's that first page of that form in the very end of your book that I was talking about. We want to have a research form completed for every new patient. We want to know if that new patient came in and where they're scheduled for their next appointment. Did they follow through with treatment? Who needs to follow up with them? Are they in hygiene? Do they have a recare date? How long are our new patients having to wait? Let's
get
look at
in.
our schedule. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, Eric, how long should a new patient have to wait?
So how long does motivation last, guys? Have you heard this when you set your New Year's resolutions? What's the typical length of a New Year's resolution or motivation?
Weeks or 21 days or less for sure.
Okay, 7 days. Motivation lasts 7 days now. That's why the gyms are all empty on January 8th, right? Because we set these New Year's resolution and then they go, it's packed for a week, you know?
Patients for sure less than 2 weeks, but 1 week's the goal.
Yep. So we want to see that new patient within 7 days. There's a business term. So when I went through college and going through business and learning things, actually a couple of things stuck. And one of them was this term called friction, this business term called friction. And what it means is how difficult is it for people to do business with you? Or how easy is it, right? So think in terms of the last, 5 to 10 years, there's been a company that exploded on the scene. All of us wish we'd have bought their stock at, $10, and it's now $3,200 a share. So can you imagine a business where you pick up your phone, you buy what you want on your phone with your payment information already in there, and it shows up on your front porch? Somebody had the vision to create that, and they removed the only thing they haven't removed is how I got to pay for it and the wait to get it delivered to my door. Like all they're focused on is removing friction, but still providing a high quality. Now the customer service, right? There's no customer service. You can't have all three. You can't do it that way. You can't be cheap. What's the three, right? So it's customer service, how inexpensive is it, and the quality that you provide. And so if you're going to be quality customer service, you're going to have to pay for that. If you're driving your prices down, you're going to sacrifice one of the other two. So think about in terms of this. When you guys have your meetings and you think of, oh man, a patient's waiting 7-8 days to get in, or 5 weeks to get in, how do we remove that friction? Because that becomes a friction of people doing business with you. If you have a new patient not show up, that's because they waited too long, right?
A good example this morning is I just went to get blood work done, and I called 4 weeks ago for an appointment. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. To go in an office to get my lab work, not even see a doctor, takes me 4 weeks. I said, is there anything else? That to me is ridiculous. I walked in, talked to the girl, she stuck the needle in my arm, and I drained the blood, and she left. So that's a good example a lot of friction for me to get a lab work done, not to see a doctor now. That's
That's
like
right. Just lab work, golly.
a doctor, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Don't use medical as your example for. Yeah, yeah. Medical is going the other direction. We want to think like Disney World. Like, it can be expensive to go to Disney World, yet people flood to go there, right? So it's not built upon price; it's built upon experience. There are many, many, many. Paul and I, right? We work with we work with a lot of dental offices where their fees are significant, and people flock to them because if you go back to that purpose, they're there for a different reason than
And they
just.
don't accept any insurance either.
That's
They're
right.
Not on any contracts. Our practice was like that. No contracts.
Yeah. The patient doesn't call up and say, well, they might call up and say, do you take my insurance? But we know how to navigate through that with them, right? And show them what we do. And it's a wow experience. So removing friction is something that we're going to talk about over these 2 days, right? Day 1 today, day 2 next month. But when Paula talks about this right here with getting new patients in, it's such a huge blaring issue. Paula and I's mentor said to us, make it easy for them to do what you want them to do. Make it difficult for them to do what you don't want them to do. Okay?
That's right. That's right. So we have a lot more to share about that. That was just an example of being a new patient mother, or that's your responsibility, and what you would be sharing in the meetings about that. There's trackers we have, referral sources. I mean, there's a lot we can do with new patients, and we're here to support you on those systems. That's the strategies, right? So number 4, we want to plan some celebration, fun, appreciation in our meetings. When we get into team harmony, one of the main things that keeps a team together is fun and appreciation and respect. So if it's that important to keep a team together, we better be planning something. You also want to do a schedule review. Now, I know I've done a call with you on block scheduling. We'll touch on that again, probably on our second day. I can't remember where that is, but we want to have at least 10 minutes of our weekly meeting on the schedule with everyone's together so that we can look 1 week back and 4 weeks ahead, and we SWOT it. SWOT, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. We will come back to that. We will talk more about SWOT. But we want to talk about last week. What went well last week? What was our best day last week? You see, we tend to be negative, and we'll focus on what was bad about last week, and we forget to celebrate the good. Does that make sense?
Got to start with that, yeah.
Got to start with the good. So let's talk about what went well last week. Let's talk about a day that didn't work and why it didn't work. And then let's look 4 weeks ahead. Can we already tell there are bottlenecks in the schedule, days full of patients where we haven't met our goal? What can we do about that now? Things like that. We want to, when we come up with challenges, which would be new business, number 6, we want to come up with the 3 solutions protocol. What that means is, if you identify a problem, you have 3 solutions and 1 doesn't cost any money. You don't identify a problem and bring it to the table and leave it. That creates a gripe session. You identify a problem and you bring solutions and ideas. Why are you laughing, Eric?
I'm just thinking, I love gossip, so we'll talk about that later. But I'm bringing stuff to you. It's like that prayer circle. You can get away with gossip when you pray for someone. Oh, we need to pray for Paula. She's having issues at home. Let's pray for her. And you start gossiping. It's like that does no one any good, right? You gotta have solutions. And again, it goes back to that strategies, and it goes back to purpose and vision. There's a flow to this. You can't just look at what's happening on the surface. Now, the solution part is typically people have a problem. They're really quick to find problems, but they're very slow to find solutions. And so what type of team member do you want to be? So yeah, there used to be 3 of us, but I didn't like the other guy. And I told Paula my strategy was to fire him. And so now it's just me and Paula. No, I'm just kidding. No, there was never a third.
All right. So the next thing on our list, once we've identified a problem and we've come up with an idea, we add that to our GAP, stands for Goal Action Plan, which is like that page 120, 120 or whatever it is in the back of your manual. That's our goal action plan, our master plan of all of our goals. And we choose someone who is the new mother of that goal, and they have a project planner. What is a project planner? A project planner is how I'm going to accomplish that goal. What is the first step that I'm going to take to accomplish that goal? So here's a sample worksheet for a project planner. So you've got your goal, getting more new patients, mother, Stacy, intended results, get up to 40 a month, or whatever. I'm just making something up here. What's our milestone? What our purpose, and what's my first step, and when is that due?
So you might have there asking for referrals daily at morning huddle. Assign them. You have actions that you're going to take to help you achieve that goal.
That's right. So then the next time you have a meeting, you're bringing your project planner to give a report to the rest of the team. Other things that you can do in your meeting is look at stats. I wouldn't look at stats every time. Your production collections, department reports, we already talked about that. Your new patient, we talked about that. Patients leaving the practice. Do y'all track that?
But that's weird that you say that, because we've had quite a few people die, and we've had quite a few people leave, and we're in a transit society. My job's transferred. I've lost my job, and that's what I told the girls. And Jennifer, I've talked about it in just private, but we got to generate 60, 70 patients. Because I've had 5 or 6 patients in the last month leaving. They're leaving. They're out in this city. They're moving here, and so it's a very common thing, especially now with economic changes. But no, we don't track it. I would love to track it, because we don't. I don't know.
Okay. So I was looking, Eric, you don't have that tab. I don't see that tab on their tracker, right?
It would be at the end. It'd be after yearly summary. There's just one. Yeah.
I'm looking at that.
Patient attrition.
Their tracker, I see AR tracker, hygiene analysis, production graph, production first collect, and I don't see that there. So we have a tracker for that. Let me pull it up. Patients leaving.
In hygiene, most of the
Yeah, it
hygiene-
must have gotten deleted.
And, we're going to send your x-rays out, so I think that's something maybe we got to do in hygiene. Go up to the front desk and go, hey, we need to put this in the code if they're leaving.
Yeah, this is a super important thing to do. So let me show you what this looks like. Eric, maybe you can shoot this over to them or something in a tab. So, or embedded in their tracker or something. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But my doctor always had me. Can y'all see this?
Yes.
Form? My doctor always had me make a list of everybody that left the practice and why. And we were fee for service, and in other words, we didn't have insurance contracts, so we wanted to make sure people weren't leaving because of that. And every month I gave a report to the team. Everyone on the team knew who left the practice, and if they had a relationship with them, they were reaching out. But you put the date. Can y'all see this okay? It's kind of small.
Yep.
Number of family members, their address, why leaving, where are they going? Did we send a follow-up letter? And look at this column right here. Follow up a year later. 6 months to a year later, I'm reaching out to the ones I want back. Now, if they died, don't do that. If they moved to Texas, don't call them. But if it's a patient that you really liked and they left because of, they didn't like the hygienist or the fees, or you weren't on their insurance plan, give them a call and say, hey, Dr. Davis asked me to call you, and we really miss you, and we'd love to have you back. Are you seeing a dentist, and are you happy there? Are you getting the treatment that you deserve? And we had some people come back. I found out 3 things. I found out some of them had never been anywhere. You think that might happen to some people?
Yeah, they get busy. I think it's been a year, and it's been 4 years since they've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. And they hadn't been anywhere. Or they were happy. Few were okay with where they went. But some were not happy, but they were too embarrassed to call us. Can you imagine that? So we actually got them back. So this is part of your team meeting. Some of the things you can do on your agenda. Look at your overhead percentages. You don't have to share specific numbers, but just like, are we way over our budget on supplies or different things like that? And then tracking monitors. Olivia and Macy and Yana, they're doing a great job with the tracker, right? And then what training do we need to do? Now, after we do these 2 days, you're going to have a lot of training items on your schedule, a lot of verbal skills training. Yay! Everybody excited about that? Then you may have some clinical things you want to train or some computer skills. And then lastly, close your meeting with something positive, like what difference you've made in your patients' lives, things like that. So there's a sample for your meeting. Now, huddles are another ball game. So y'all have a huddle every morning, right? Is it effective?
I think it can be. I mean, we look at so-and-so hadn't had, how you doing a good job? They look for so-and-so has 3 cavities not done, 2 crowns not done. And I tell the girls up front, they hear me say this, if we don't handle this differently, he's going to leave out of here, he's going to keep the same way. I'll tell Dr. Kim, we've got to do that hygiene check different than we did last time and say, hey, do you want to get this fixed? Or let the hygiene ask, hey, do you want to get this taken care of? Because otherwise they're going to go right back up, leave, and right back out, not scheduled. So I think we're doing a better job in the huddle.
Good.
Knowing a little bit about the patient, where before we were just going through the schedule.
All right, perfect. This page right here, page 9, is how each person on the team prepares for huddle. So we come to huddle to share about how we can better be in relationship with our patient. What's their personality style? Does anyone owe us money? I mean, that affects our relationship with the patient. We're not really trying to go chart by chart. So-and-so need x-rays today. We're going to do a filling on this person. No, we're talking about where are roadblocks, who do we need to present treatment to, who are our new patients, what's the research on that new patient, so the whole team can be informed. Where do we see roadblocks today? Where can we put in an extra person if we needed to? Things like that, right?
I got a question about the research. Now, when you say research, I know what you're trying to gather, where they came from, who referred them, and Jennifer and I always talk about that. We want that information because I'm talking to her because she's really the one who's tracking that. So is that something that's done in the initial new patient exam front? Is that done in the hygiene? Where's the majority of that research information supposed to be gathered?
Phone call.
All right.
That's your number one entrance to the practice and first impression typically. And also if there's a now we're going to get more into this later, but it's the natural law of research. The more you know about this new patient, the more they think you know what you're doing.
Be like the opposite of medical, right? You walk into medical and they go, what brings you in today? They have no idea what they're even doing.
Well, I already told somebody on the phone, well, who referred you? Well, golly, I put that on my form. And Olivia asked me that on the phone. Why are you asking me that again? Do y'all not talk to each other?
It starts to it's just like your experience this morning, Dr. Davis. It starts to decrease it affects your relationship. It starts to decrease your trust with them. And it really affects negatively your confidence in their competence.
That's so true.
When you're like, wow, they know what they're doing. I can't believe that phone call. I was just like, it just moved. And then when I got in the office, they just seemed like they really knew what they were doing. They haven't had any dentistry done yet, but yet all of a sudden the doctors of this practice are phenomenal. Why? Because all of the experiences they've taken through, from the phone call to the physical plant that you wrote in the vision, right? All these things, they just match up, they align, and now they have confidence in your competence. We'll get into this a lot more.
Yes, we will. So, I mean, just imagine how you would feel if, let's say Eric's the patient coming in, it's Ricky Bobby. Hey, Ricky Bobby.
Hey, shake and bake.
And I'm the assistant, I'm taking him back, and I'm like, Olivia told me that your neighbor is gingivitis. And and that's how you heard about us, is that right?
Yeah, I'm just really excited that 2 women are talking about me.
Oh, yeah, well, she said that you had a really bad experience at your last office and you were in a lot of pain, and gosh, I'm so sorry that happened, and you've come to the right place. We're going to do everything we can to help you today. So,
Shake and bake, shake and bake.
yeah, so Olivia kind of caught me up on your story, and I'm really sorry that happened to you. Doesn't that sound better instead of saying, "Hey, now, what's your name? Ricky? What? Ricky? Okay, and how'd you hear about us, Ricky? And have you been to the dentist before?"
No.
So do y'all get the difference of what I'm talking about here?
Yes.
You see the difference in the experience?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes a huge impact.
And this reflects back to purpose and vision and talking about creating a practice where people choose you because of the relationship that you develop. Why do they choose you? Because they actually love coming in to see you. You make the experience better than they can ever imagine. That could be your reality, and maybe it is a lot of the time, versus why do they choose you? Oh, you're in my insurance, right? There's a difference there. We need to start being what we want to be, and eventually the insurance, I come to you because my insurance will start to change to, I come here because you're the best dentist in the state. You guys treat me, you know who I am. I have such a great experience when I tell all my friends and family about you guys, right? You're creating raving fans.
That's awesome. That's good. Okay, so this is going to wrap up this section. Let's go back and review what our action items are. Did y'all take notes?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we have discovering your purpose personally and as a practice, and then for each department. And then we've got revisit your vision, maybe get it in writing, do a vision board. And that's for personal as well as professional. Then your team meetings, we talked about structure for that. Patients leaving the practice tracker. Eric will send.
Sent.
And okay, great. And then morning huddles, make sure we're including the new patient research and discussing.
Form. Do y'all have a form, or do we? I don't know.
Oh yeah, okay. Remember, Dr. Davis, I don't know if you were there in the very beginning. Go to the very end of your manual.
Oh, I got you. I was not. I was.
Okay, so there is a 5-page form at the very end of your manual, and the new patient visit form is the first page, and it says new patient phone call right here.
I got you.
So we have this form goes all the way through the clinical exam.
I got you.
So we will be referring to this often, and we'll be getting to phone skills, either late this afternoon or tomorrow. I mean next time. Okay, gotcha.
Gotcha.
Great question. Okay, so let's move on.